So if you'd seen my film, you'd know that I use media technologies all the way throughout, starting from the planning stages all the way through to construction and research. The main thing that I used was social media when making my film. So as you'll see when you've watched my short film, I include a lot of footage of me being on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And when I was doing my research for all of these, I realised that it wasn't just my age group that's interested in these sort of social medias. It actually varies a fair bit, that I was aiming my film at a much larger audience and not just my age bracket of sort of 13 to 28 sort of age bracket. I then knew that I had to expand and also aim for the older market, people in their sort of 40s, 50s that were also on Facebook. So in my research stages, I posted my SurveyMonkey, which I'll get onto a bit later on. I posted my survey onto Facebook and Twitter, and I also asked my parents to share this survey on their websites, and as well I also asked my friends to do the same thing, so I could get a vast range of audience feedback, and I was able to use this to my whole advantage basically. Also, I did post it onto Facebook, but as well I did post that survey through email and WhatsApp and things like that, and asked friends to do that too. I also use social media a lot to post pictures of places that I had supposedly visited. So, especially on Instagram, because that's more of a picture site, I was constantly on there updating and showing that these places that I was going, and this added to my story. So as well as doing this whole project for my sort of short film, I was also doing the test in my actual reality to see if people went along with it, and a lot of people did. I was getting a lot of texts from people saying have a good time. So social media, I realised, was a massive impact in my whole construction, research, planning stages, because without social media I wouldn't have been able to pull off this whole stunt that I have achieved. So social media to me was a massive part of my film, and it really benefited the film. The internet was a massive media technology that I used all the way throughout. So to start with, to even construct my whole story, I found the news article. So without that news article that I stumbled across onto the internet, which actually I stumbled across that through someone's Facebook, but obviously that all ties in together. But without finding that news post on the website, then my story wouldn't actually be here today. So the internet was a massive source for me. I also then, when I was choosing places where to go and places to reconstruct, I Googled a lot of the time main attractions in the different areas that I said I was travelling. So without this key information, people that had already been to Thailand would know that I was sort of lying and making a facade of this whole thing. So I needed to make it look as believable as possible, and needed to know sort of where and what these places looked like, so I could reconstruct them the best I could. Also, a massive thing was to find out the time difference. So obviously I'm in England right now, but I said I was in Thailand. Time difference is major there. It's about 9-10 hours. So sure that I always knew the local time and knew at what sort of times I should be posting pictures and posting attractions and things like that. Another massive thing is, in my film, I showed people a Thai dish that I made. Now, I have no clue what I could make and what I should make, so I just used internet, Google, to find out some Thai recipes, find out the easiest one to sort of reconstruct, see a visual image of it, and then I was able to make that. And again, that really just benefits the whole story. And And then another major one was tutorials and step-by-step guides. So, as I've said in my blog, I had absolutely no idea how to use Photoshop before I did this. I had no idea how to use After Effects and how to use the editing software on Macs. I had sort of a bit of idea. I use YouTube as a source to showcase my work. Now, obviously, I wanted to include mixed medias into my blog as well, so I did a lot of diary updates and vlogs. So to project those onto my blogs, I uploaded them first onto YouTube. So obviously, I wouldn't be able to have those footage pieces online if it wasn't for YouTube, and for a lot of other people to also source them, not just the people that are specifically looking at my blog. That's more now widely available. Again, talking about tutorials, like I said before, I used YouTube a hell of a lot to learn new software and new systems like Photoshop, and again, like I said, my ident, how to create a 3D ident before I hadn't got a clue on how to do that. The next thing is getting inspiration as to how to film my film. Now, I knew that I wanted my film to sort of be like a documentary, but be a bit more advanced than that. And I know at the moment, vlogging and YouTube stars are massive. And people like Zoella and Pointless Blog, and another one is Marcus Butler, and they are huge in the vlogging world and they're earning a lot of money. And I know that they have a lot of a younger audience, which is why I wanted to include that sort of style. If a lot of people are watching it now, why not would they watch it in a film style? So I thought that would really link in very well. And again, when I was searching on YouTube, I found another vlogger star called Fun for Louie, and he does a lot of face-to-camera vlogs, and he is a traveller as well. So I got a lot of inspiration. I looked at his Thai vlogs, sort of saw what he was going up to, and then incorporated them into my own film and could see what I needed to make my film look like, to make it look as believable as he does when he is actually there. So that was a massive help to me. The next thing is WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp is obviously a texting sort of device that you can use, and I have a massive group chat of a lot of friends on there, and I use that constantly to send pictures and things that I'd edited, to see if they believed the picture and see if it was okay to go online. So the facade was carried on, and I always was getting feedback then from people, and people telling me how to improve, which was great because I could then use it's a way of audience feedback for me. I also asked opinions of many people of different factors in the process. So things that were also on my SurveyMonkey, I did send my SurveyMonkey to them, but then I asked them if they believed some of the stories that I was saying, what sources and what social media they'd likely use, so they could always keep in contact with me if I was abroad. And again, I asked people that were knowledgeable on software like Photoshop on how they could help me and what things would be beneficial and tools to use. So using WhatsApp was a massive help, just to constantly keep in touch with friends to get that feedback and to get the help that I needed. Again, I'm going to touch on SurveyMonkey. So I use SurveyMonkey a fair bit for my audience research. Now, I made 2 surveys, sent them both out. I've only included one in my blog because that was the one that got the most responses. But I used the surveys for original research to find out what people wanted to see. So I found out what social media was most likely used and what the places that people would think that I would typically go. So Thailand is a very typical travelling place to go. It's very common, and I got that feedback from the SurveyMonkey that I did. and that was very beneficial for my audience research. The next thing is cinema. Now, Easy A was my sort of main inspiration. Now, I was looking at sort of trailers and going through that, and that was the one that stood out to me the most, because she's always using technology in that film, because she's broadcasting her stories on video camera, which is what I exactly wanted to make look like in my film. I was doing face to camera scenes, and it was a very relaxed style. It was very personal and very intimate with the audience, and felt like we were very much breaking that fourth wall. I thought Easy A was sort of a hybrid of genres, which is why that I wanted to use that, because I didn't want my film to be a documentary. I wanted it to be based on a documentary but have advanced technologies within that. So I thought that Easy A was a great inspiration, and I got to see how to make that style look a lot more believable and take a lot of inspiration from that. The last media technology that I used was news articles. Now, as I said before, the first article I found on Cilla Vanderborn was taken from a news article online, and it's obvious, I'm assuming it's also published in a newspaper. And that media technology really got around, and a few people saw it as well as me, but without taking that info from the news article, I wouldn't have been able to adapt it from the screenplay. Okay. So without taking that information from the news article, I wouldn't have been able to adapt it into screenplay. So I really got to use that technology and that media portal to the advantage, because I found out what Zilla had actually done, and then I did the same thing, adapted it a little bit, but advanced her story into screen. My evaluation stages, as I'm doing right now, I'm doing a director's commentary, so I've used that. I've used vlogs, I've used blog posts, and I've used prezzies. So as you can see, I've done a lot of mixed media, and I'm using a lot of media technologies to my advantage to portray the best I can to you. I think that's everything. Yeah, thank you very much.